Hi. Um, just was watching a couple of videos about child sexual abuse. Came across one from a gal named Lil Loca, a little ghetto girl from way back. But she had gotten a letter from a boy who said that he was being beaten, and she didn't know what she should do, and she went and read some statistics and ended up being so disturbed by what she was reading and seeing that she had to stop making the video. And she was at like 9 minutes and 56 seconds, so saw another one with that country song Alyssa Lies with some statistics and pictures of beaten children. And the question seems to be, why does this happen, and how does this happen, and how do we let this happen in our society? The reality is that it happens every day, right now, right this very second. Someone is being abused. Whether it be a father trying to get his little girl to suck his cock, whether it be a mother who is so drunk that she forgot to feed her kids for a couple of days, whether it be a father who thinks it's a game to put cigarette butts out on his child. I have been abused. If you have seen any of my other videos, then you know I have dealt with some abuse. I was sexually abused by my father and my brother. I was kidnapped in my car for about 4 hours by a black man who chose to rape me and rob me, but not burn me up in my car. So I take that as a blessing, because I can be here to talk about it. Abuse of any kind is a cycle. It is a cycle that one has to choose to break. It has to be a conscious choice. I recently had some feedback in a letter from a young woman who had been abused by her father for some time, and was just now beginning to tell her story. And one of the things that she said in her first letter to me was that she thought she was fine. She was, still a good girl, and sorry about the light. And that she thought she was fine. But the honest truth is that when you are abused, be it sexually, emotionally, or physically, you are not fine. Well, you are fine, because technically, when you do go to therapy, you learn that fine means fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. So I was fine for a long time. Sometimes I still am fine. But you're not okay, and it takes a lot of time to get over it and to deal with it. It's a difficult thing. If somebody comes to you and tells you that they have been abused, what do you do? Everybody always says, what do? You listen, number one, because if you know a girl, if you know 4 girls, one of them has been sexually abused. I believe this statistic is 1 in 4. So there is a girl that you know right now who has been sexually abused. And she's never told anyone. I spoke to a woman, a customer, who I had never met before. I spoke to this woman for 3 hours about various things. It started out, I sell clothes to retail stores, and she's opening a new store, and so it started out as just an advice, what to do kind of a conversation, and then we began talking about the differences in Black America and White America, because she happens to be Black and I happen to be white, and I have lots of things to say on those issues. But at some point during the conversation, it turned to a more spiritual conversation about my life and what I had been through. And this woman, who is 45 years old, when I say I was abused by my father, she says, so was I. And I spoke for another moment, and she said, did you hear me? I said, so was I. I said, yes, ma'am, I heard you. She said, do you know, I've never told anyone else that. Not my mother, not my sister, no one have I ever told that to. And she's in an abusive relationship with a man who doesn't take care of her, and it's a cycle. My mother is an alcoholic, or possibly was an alcoholic. I don't know if she's alive or not. But her father abused her. And at 14, she married my brother's father, who abused her. And then a few years later, she married my father, who beat the hell out of her. And then she married someone else who beat the hell out of her. And then somebody else. And it just continued. And now she's 54. Maybe. I say maybe because there was a call that came that said, we think your mother might be dead. And when I called a private investigator, not a private investigator, but an investigator, a police investigator, there has been no word. So we don't know if she's alive or dead. It's a cycle. And it has to be broken, but it has to be a choice of the victim to break the cycle. It is the responsibility of the people around the victim that are close to the victim to point out to them behaviors that are unsafe, that are not right. Promiscuity, not such a good thing. I remember for a brief time in my life that I would call the phone sex lines, not the live links and the quick whatever the heck they were, and they're always free for women to call, and then you men have to pay something for it. But I would call and I would say, I'm leaving my door open, here's my apartment number. Come in. That's how little I cared of myself and what I thought I deserved. It's a cycle, and it has to be broken, and you have to make the choice to break the cycle. It's not easy to do. I have a child, a 6-year-old daughter, who it's hard. It's very hard sometimes, and it's very hard to not be the person that I don't want to be. So it's breaking the cycle is something that you have to work on, and that you have to own, and you have to choose if you were the victim of childhood abuse. That's all I have time for. Thanks. Bye bye.